What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome to the Colts Cast. Here's Jamal Lawrence, and I'm Eric Smith, your co-host of the Colts Cast. Look, let's get right into it. Jamal, you know who we're talking about today. We're talking about your favorite player, Shaquille Leonard. So, from what I saw, looks like Dave Griffiths reported this on Twitter. Shaq Leonard does not seem happy with his continued limited role with the Colts. And, it was about a 1-minute exchange, just saying, he doesn't have enough splash plays. He's not getting the PT he wants. Jamal, what is all this? What does this mean?
First off, all it means is that Jonathan Taylor's my favorite player on the Indianapolis Colts for starters. Just want to go ahead and throw that out there in case you guys didn't see the jersey back there. JT's my favorite player, so don't come at me sideways. He is from South Carolina. Shaq is from South Carolina, so I'll give him that. Shout out to him for that. But anyway, back to the regularly scheduled program, Eric. This means, in my humble opinion, I think the end of the road may be near. It may be near. I mean, Shaq's been having some issues with the Indianapolis Colts since he's come back from his injuries. I mean, he's been banged up for the past 2 years, trying to get back into that. I don't want to use his former name, but get back into that Darius Leonard mode. I mean, let's be honest here. We have to address that because we want to see that, that Shaq that can create those turnovers, that Shaq that's out there confident. I feel like this Shaq we've been seeing over the past couple of years has been one that's kind of been down in the dumps. And I personally don't know what it's like to have an injury that's plaguing my career. Obviously, I don't play football, out there on the field every Sunday, so I don't know the detrimental toll it has on him and his body. But clearly, I feel like it's had some effect over the past couple of years. He just hasn't found it to be back to his normal self, or what he considers his normal ability, or for that matter, what even the coaches consider his normal ability, based off of what he said during this little interview today. We talk about him when we talk about what he's known for, that turnover factor. That's what earned him that contract. That's what earned him, everything that's come with the Colts. That presence to be the leader on the defensive side of the ball, but also that ability for that peanut punch he created. And that main focal point of the defense. And that's just all changed so much for him over the past couple of years. And I think it's hit him harder than he thought. And it's hit us harder than we thought as well, because he just even said a couple of weeks ago that he was feeling like he was back, getting back to full speed. But then based off of what I'm hearing with this today, I don't think that either it's he's telling himself that, but the game film isn't saying that, or the coaches don't feel that, for that matter, because he talked about having to split reps with EJ. He talked about how he doesn't play third down. He kind of knows what his pitch count is going to be going into each game. So either Gus and company don't agree with him where he says he is, or B, I mean, he's not where he needs to be. And it just makes me nervous because the Colts are in a position where, they paid him a lot of money. 5 years, $98.25 million, 52 and a half guaranteed to that. A lot of money you paid him. And I wonder if there's any reserve in kind of what happened since we've paid him at this point. I know that's kind of a lot, Eric, but just kind of want to throw it all under the table, for the first look at it.
Yeah. I mean, for a player who's had 0 forced fumbles, 0 interceptions, 0 pass deflections, 0 sacks, only 3 tackles for a loss. I mean, he's missing assignments. We've seen it on the film. Looks considerably slower. I would just have to agree with you, Jamal. Like, moving on is it has to be on the table now. I don't know. I mean, yeah, he is splitting reps with EJ's speed. His snap count, I mean, even last game, he played 83% of the snaps. It's not like he's playing 40%. But for a player who is putting up those type of stats, why do you deserve a higher snap count? That would be my question, especially if you are a 5-year, $100 million player. It makes me want to argue the opposite. Maybe we should give speed more reps. I'm just being completely honest. But I agree with everything you said, Jamal. The reason we paid him is because he is an impact defensive player, one of the best at it. He was an absolute stud in coverage, peanut punch king, unstoppable in the run defense department. But ever since this switch in defensive coordinators, Matt Eberflus left, Gus Bradley took over, and his injury, combine that together, he hasn't been the same. They take him out on third downs. That's how much faith they don't have in Shaq
Mhm.
Leonard. So it's an issue. And to be honest, EJ Speed and Zaire Franklin, they're both outplaying Shaq. If we're being completely honest this year, they are both outplaying him. And for what? 8 million a year combined?
Yep. Yep.
Yep, 8 million a year combined, and Shaq's making almost 20 million a year. So like it's time, because we've been letting it slide. We've been saying, he's just got to get back into the groove of things. But I think Colts Nation, we have to at least bring it to the table. Like, is it time to move on from Shaquille Leonard? Is it time to let him go? I mean, he's been outstanding for the Indianapolis Colts historically, but right now, I mean, he is not that guy who signed that contract a few
Mhm.
years ago. And you know, it is what it is. If y'all want to come at us
Yeah.
in the
It's
comments,
reality.
yeah, it's reality. We can't keep letting it slide. I really hope maybe there's a turning point, and at Carolina Panthers coming up Sunday, maybe it's a perfect game for him to bounce back. I feel like he's a player that does like to play with a chip on his shoulder, but from what I've seen, this ain't the Shaq Leonard we're used to. I remember seeing Darius Leonard on the field. It was different. That this is all the way different, Jamal.
Yeah, it really is. And going back to what you just said, man, that chip on the shoulder, I feel like at some point we have to kind of let that chip go. I get it. Of course, when he came out the draft, everyone made comments about how he shouldn't be drafted as high, et cetera, et cetera. No team wanted him. Fine. I agree. I mean, like I agree with him having that chip on the shoulder coming in the league. Yeah, that's what you got to do. I mean, we see Zaire with that same chip on the shoulder right now. But we're not talking about him today. But my point is that now Shaq's proven himself. He proved himself in that rookie contract that who he is who he is. But I feel like sometimes now he still uses that chip of, people want to still see me fail, and that's not the case. Like that ship has sailed at this point. There's a reason why you're in comparison to Frank Warner every single year. Like there's a reason for that. So I don't want to. I kind of think it's a crutch, so to speak, to still use that type of narrative towards yourself when we know. And I just feel like when he was talking today, it just seemed down and out. And of course, who knows what it could be one of those days. Everybody has a day where you're just feeling like blah, but you still have to talk to the media because that's your job and it is what it is. However, I just think that at some point we have to make sure that we are truly addressing the elephant in the room and not using things as a crutch when they shouldn't be used as a crutch at this point. You gotta step up and you gotta show up and show out when you're getting $20 million a year, when you're setting the new record or setting the new standard for what a linebacker is.
Yeah, I don't think it helps that we've been losing a lot of
Hmm.
close games. It's very frustrating. But yeah, Shaq Leonard, he's just not there.
Yeah,
I wish I could say the opposite. I want to see him succeed. If
for
if
sure.
he was more valuable this season in the turnover department, maybe, just maybe, we could be 5-3, something like that. But it just hasn't looked great for us, and um, it hasn't looked great for Shaq either. And if honestly, he's got a big contract, and if I'm looking at spot checked right, we take the dead cap hit of $8 million next year and could potentially cut him. I know nobody wants to hear that, but boy, $8 million dead cap, I think we'll survive. But it's just the cap hit's going to be 20 mil. So
Yeah, it's tough.
I hate talking about this
Yeah,
as a fan, but I always think about what's best for the team going forward. So we have to look at the financials and things like that.
absolutely. It's
So,
a business. It's a business at the end of the day, unfortunately.
and my point of view on this could change in the future, but right now, boy,
Yeah,
that's all
it's
I'm gonna say.
scary. Yeah, it's scary, man. That's all I got. I mean, if you're still listening right now, definitely let us know what you think, in the comments. And if you haven't already, go ahead and click that like and subscribe button. We always try to keep it real with you guys every time we drop an episode. So don't ever, don't think you're gonna get the fluff. We're gonna tell you our opinions on how we feel and keep it moving from there. But yeah, Eric, like you said, I hope that this conversation changes here in the near future. I hope he really gets back to that full speed because he said he feels like he's, getting there, getting better week over week. And if that's the case, and I think that's an internal conversation that Ballard, Gus, and Leonard need to have all together in a room and decide, what's the best plan of course moving forward. And we'll see what happens from there.
I'm sure the inner circle is already having conversations. They feel like they're always having ongoing conversations. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. Thanks everyone for listening today to the Colts cast. We're live on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or any platform you use to listen to podcasts. We'll be back next time to give you some more Indianapolis Colts content. Y'all take care.
Take care.